If you're a real Warriors fan living in the US, this video is for you. From coast to coast, America is buzzing after last night's game. Steph Curry just reminded the whole country why he runs the West. The NBA world is buzzing with a rumor that has the Bay Area on fire. Gary Payton II, the defensive powerhouse, the hustle king, the man who was once the heartbeat of the Warriors bench unit, could be making his way back to Golden State. That's right, whispers are growing louder that Payton might once again don the blue and gold, bringing his unmatched energy, relentless defense, and playoff-tested grit back to a team that desperately needs a spark. This isn't just another rumor. This could be the move that reignites a dynasty that has been struggling to keep its flame burning. For Warriors fans, this is more than nostalgia. It's about chemistry, identity, and fixing what's been broken over the last 2 seasons. Imagine the Chase Center crowd exploding as Payton checks into a game, instantly locking down the opposing team's best scorer, diving for loose balls, and turning defense into electric fast break opportunities. It's the kind of energy Golden State has been missing, and it's why this rumor has everyone talking. But what's fueling this speculation? Why now? And how realistic is a Payton return to the Bay? The truth is, the Warriors front office has been quietly evaluating ways to retool the roster around Stephen Curry while the clock is still ticking on his prime years. Draymond Green's leadership is still there, but his availability has been inconsistent. Klay Thompson's future is hanging in the balance, with free agency looming and questions about whether he'll take a pay cut to stay. Jonathan Kuminga has shown flashes of brilliance but hasn't yet fully stepped into that next-level role the team hoped for. And in the middle of it all, there's a glaring need for a player who doesn't just fill a position, but changes the energy of every possession. That's where Gary Payton II comes in. When the Warriors had him in their 2022 championship run, their defense was a nightmare for opponents. He brought a toughness that allowed Curry and the shooters to shine without worrying about always guarding the toughest matchup. Since Payton's departure, Golden State has struggled to replicate that defensive edge, often finding themselves caught in shootouts instead of dictating the pace through stops. The rumor mill started spinning faster when a few insiders hinted at an old friend possibly returning to the Bay. Then, just days ago, Payton himself was spotted at an event in the Bay Area, smiling alongside a few familiar faces from the Warriors staff. Now, that alone doesn't mean a deal is imminent, but in the NBA, optics matter. When players start showing up in their old stomping grounds, talking warmly about the past, and hinting at unfinished business, fans start connecting the dots. And right now, those dots are forming a picture that has Payton back in the Warriors' backcourt. This wouldn't be a simple reunion, though. The financial side of things is tricky. Golden State is still dealing with one of the highest payrolls in the league, luxury tax penalties looming over every move they make. Bringing Payton back would require some maneuvering, possibly moving a current rotation player or adjusting contracts. But if there's one thing we've learned about Bob Myers, well, now Mike Dunleavy Jr., it's that the Warriors front office is willing to be creative when the right piece is available. Payton's value goes far beyond the box score. He's not the guy who's going to drop 25 points on any given night, but he might give you 8 points that feel like 20 because of the momentum they create. A chase-down block that ignites a crowd. A perfectly timed steal that leads to a Curry dagger 3. A defensive stand in crunch time that turns the tide of a playoff game. Those are the moments that win championships, and Payton has proven he thrives in those moments. His relationship with Curry, Green, and even the younger guys like Moses Moody is another huge factor. This isn't some outsider the team needs to integrate. Payton already knows the system, the plays, the culture. He can step in on day one and immediately make an impact without the usual adjustment period. There's also the emotional side of this. Fans never really wanted to see Payton go in the first place. When he left, it felt like losing a piece of the team's heart. Sure, basketball is a business, and contracts dictate a lot, but sports are also about connection, and Payton had that connection with Warriors fans. He was the underdog story everyone could root for, a guy who bounced around the league, fought for his spot, and finally found his fit in Golden State. Bringing him back wouldn't just be smart from a basketball standpoint, it would be a morale boost for the entire organization. And right now, after a disappointing season and early playoff exit, that morale boost could be just as important as any tactical adjustment. Of course, not everyone is convinced this move makes sense. There are those who argue the Warriors need to focus on bigger scoring threats, more consistent offensive firepower, or younger talent with higher ceilings. They point to Payton's injury history and wonder if he can still maintain the same level of defensive intensity over an 82-game season and deep playoff run. Those are fair questions. But here's the counterpoint: Golden State doesn't necessarily need Payton to play 35 minutes a night. They need him to give them 18 to 22 minutes of absolute chaos for the other team, to swing games with his defense, and to make life easier for Curry, Klay, and whoever else is handling the scoring load. Another interesting wrinkle is how Payton's return could influence other potential moves. If the Warriors secure him early in the offseason, it might signal to Klay Thompson that the front office is serious about returning to a defense-first mentality. It could also affect how they handle potential trades involving Kuminga or Andrew Wiggins. Speaking of Wiggins, his own future has been a topic of debate. If the front office believes they can bring Payton back while keeping Wiggins and Kuminga, they could form one of the most versatile defensive wings rotations in the NBA. Imagine facing a lineup where Curry is flanked by Payton, Wiggins, and Kuminga, with Draymond anchoring the paint. Good luck scoring on that. Now, what about Payton himself? From all accounts, he's kept a close eye on Golden State even after leaving. He's spoken openly about how much he enjoyed his time with the Warriors, and in interviews, he's hinted that he'd always be open to a return under the right circumstances. The question is, are those circumstances here now? With the Warriors eager to bounce back and with Curry's window still open, this might be the perfect time for that reunion. Payton's current contract situation would require negotiation, but the Warriors have been known to work deals through sign-and-trades or multi-team arrangements that make the numbers work. And if you're thinking about chemistry, let's be honest, few players fit into Golden State's culture as seamlessly as Payton. He's humble, hard-working, and committed to team success above personal stats. He knows how to operate within Steve Kerr's system, how to cut at the right time, how to set screens for shooters, and how to make the extra pass. It's the kind of high IQ, unselfish basketball that has defined the Warriors' dynasty. Bringing him back wouldn't require reinventing the wheel, it would simply be putting the right spoke back in place. The fan response to this rumor has been overwhelming. Social media is filled with highlight clips of Payton's best moments in a Warriors jersey, with fans commenting things like "Bring him home" and "We need GPI back." The emotional momentum is building, and if there's one thing front offices understand, it's that fan sentiment matters, especially in a market like Golden State, where ticket sales, merchandise, and TV ratings are all tied to the team's energy and likability. Payton checks all those boxes. He's the kind of player who sells jerseys not because he's a superstar, but because he represents everything fans love about the game. The timing of all this is crucial. The NBA offseason moves quickly, and opportunities can vanish just as fast as they appear. If the Warriors believe Payton is the missing piece, or at least one of them, they may need to act before other teams make their pitches. And don't think for a second that other contenders wouldn't be interested in adding a player like him. Defense wins championships, and Payton is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league when healthy. If Golden State hesitates, they could find themselves watching him suit up for a rival team come October.